will need a resource or component to follow the teacher's instructions. After the live sessions, students will need a variety of practice content and resources to work on their own. And if this content is trackable, the teacher will have access to students' scores and to monitor their progress remotely. And then combining what students do at home with what happens in the live sessions. Teachers and students will need tools and resources that allow for skills development, such as forums for writing skills development, or recording features or tools for speaking skills development, and tools and resources that allow for online formal evaluation and testing. And of course, teachers will always want to have tools that allow for creativity and personalization. So both teachers and students will need spaces where they can share their own materials and activities, their own teacher or student-generated production, and to be able to share external content to the platform, and also real-life information to be shared between teachers and students. At Richmond, we have developed a solution that includes all this and some more, which is what I will show you in a minute. But I also want you to notice that I've included the phrase gather information during the 3 stages of the process. Now more than ever, when we cannot see our students face-to-face all the time, assessment becomes particularly complicated, because we're not there together to see our students' body language, their postures, their gestures. We cannot tell if they're bored or tired or really paying attention. Also, both teaching and learning becomes a little bit less spontaneous in the remote education scenario, because most of the time students will be working on their own, independently and at home, and they won't be able to ask spontaneous questions or make spontaneous comments about the content they're studying because they're alone. They'll have to wait to meet with you and their classmates in the next live session, or maybe to open a discussion thread in the forum, which might not always occur in real time, for them to be able to get answers to questions or make spontaneous comments of whatever it is they're studying or learning. So in the remote education scenario, formative assessment becomes a huge deal. And whatever digital resources we're using or whatever digital resource you're working with, it should provide you with the tools to gather and collect information about your students' learning process all the time. So the more trackability you have, the better. And by trackability, I mean having access to a tool that will allow you to monitor your students' progress, to see what they're doing, what they're getting right, what they're getting wrong, so that you can make decisions at the right time and not necessarily wait to formally test at the end of the process to start making adjustments and corrections. So that's why I've included the phrase gather information during the 3 stages of the process, because in remote education, formal assessment becomes extremely, extremely relevant. I was telling you that at Richmond, we've developed the Richmond Learning Platform, which includes content, resources, and tools for both teachers and students to be used at the different stages of the remote education scenario, which are instruction, practice, and then assessment and evaluation. I am very quickly going to show you all we have, and I am indeed going to focus on the contents, resources, and tools that match each of these 3 stages of the remote education process. Let me try and open the platform from here. Oh, wonderful. There you go. I'm not going to give you details on how to log in or log out. We can do that later if you're interested in the platform. But what I rather want to show you is what a digital solution should have nowadays to respond to the 3 steps of the remote education scenario. Let me just look for a course I am very comfortable with, so that it's easier for me to show you, oh my God, everything we have. Here I go. From the Richmond Learning Platform, remember the stages of the cycle, right? Remote education, I'm going to have to minimize this to show you this. In the remote education cycle, everything starts with instruction and teaching in the live sessions. So from the Richmond Learning Platform, which you just very briefly saw, but we're going to come back to it, teachers can download a digital book, which is a teacher-facing component that we've designed for teachers to facilitate instruction. It is sort of a projectable version of our print materials that allows teachers to project either during the live sessions, or if we ever come back to the classroom, in interactive whiteboards and other tools that we usually have in the classroom, to do instruction, to do language presentations, just as we would do in face-to-face teaching in a classroom, right? The content in the digital book for teachers is accompanied by a set of tools to aid teachers in presenting the language. Tools like highlighters, zooming in, zooming out, making notes for students to copy them at home, and so on. And all extra resources like audio accompanying the language presentations or the skills development presentations or video are embedded in this component for the teacher to share with students remotely. Teachers don't have to go anywhere else to bring up an audio recording, or let me show you a video lesson here. Let me try and show you here. To launch the video, you can do it directly from the digital book of the teacher. So you can plan your whole class, your whole lesson from, I don't have the sound on, but this gives you an idea that the video plays directly from the digital book for teachers. All our digital books work exactly like this. So the teacher has everything in one same place to provide instruction, to do the teaching. And you're probably asking, okay, well, how do students follow what the teacher is doing? Well, students follow in a component that we call the e-students book. And the e-students book is a fully trackable and fully interactive version of the digital book for teachers. So whatever the teacher is showing to students, students can follow on their own e-students books, with the difference that on their e-students books, students will be able to answer each one of the activities. As the teacher projects and helps them with the activities, students can actually, at home and on their own, follow the teacher and complete their activities. And whatever they do here will not only provide them, you will see I will get 0, 0. But what I want to show you is that whatever they do here, the platform will provide them with immediate, automatic feedback, telling them which answers they got wrong so that they can try again and correct their answers. So this is very important. They don't need you to check answers all the time. Remember that I told you at the beginning, we want to make the most out of the live sessions because we have very limited time in our face-to-face synchronic encounters with our students. So as the teacher accompanies students in the live sessions doing the activities, students can follow in their fully interactive e-students books, with the benefit that the teacher doesn't have to check answers. The platform will do it in an individualized and personalized way. So each student will get personalized feedback and will know exactly what to correct. Now, the other benefit of this is that everything students do on their e-students books during the live sessions is graded and recorded in the platform's mark book, which is sort of a report card that allows the teacher to keep track of each individual student's progress. I'm going to show you the mark book in a minute. So as the teacher teaches, students can follow and do the work on their individual personal e-students books. Now, if you remember, stage 2 of the cycle is what students do at home, independently, autonomously. And for that, we've developed a component that we call the e-workbook. I have a toolbar here that I need to maybe move, to be able to show you e-workbooks. E-workbooks are a student-facing component. Just like the digital book for the teacher is a student-facing component, which means a component that we've designed only for the teacher. E-workbooks are a student-facing component, which means that they don't need the teacher to intervene at all. And as you can see, e-workbooks look exactly like a regular print workbook. But the thing is that our e-workbooks are fully trackable and fully interactive. So again, just like with the e-students book, everything students do for practice on their own and independently at home is automatically graded. This is why we say it is a student-facing component, because it doesn't require teacher intervention. As you can see, the platform provides students with immediate, automatic feedback. It won't provide them with the right answers, but it will let them know where they are wrong so that they can go back and correct. The other thing is that once students have completed an activity and are happy with their answers, let me try again, and they submit their scores, everything gets recorded in the mark book, again, for the teacher to monitor. And since in the remote education scenario, most of the time, students are working on their own, independently and autonomously, if you feel that the amount of practice in the e-workbook is not enough, with the Richmond Learning Platform, students have access to what we call a set of extra practice activities. These activities are different from the activities they have in their e-students books and are different from the activities that they have in their e-workbooks. This is additional practice in a variety of formats that are 100% connected to the topics and language presented in what we call the digital book for the teacher or the e-students books. So there's a variety of ways in which students can get practice, either in a traditional workbook format or in a less traditional way by skill or by language system in a more open format. Now, the third stage of the remote education cycle is connecting what students do at home with what happens in the live sessions. And usually what we try and do is have students do a little bit of skills development. Some they will do at home and some they will do in the live sessions, like speaking, we usually bring to the live sessions, but writing is something we don't bring to the live sessions because you know how long it takes students to generate a piece of writing. And you give them 10 minutes to write 50 words and they will take 20. So when it comes to skills development, not all of them we bring to the live sessions, again, because of the time constraints. But when you're working under the remote education scenario, you want to make sure that the tools you're working with provide spaces for students to do skills development, because basically what we have here is language and language practice. But we also want students to be able to develop their skills, I cannot change the page here, individually and independently. I think it's important that we make sure that whatever tool, platform, or resource that we use in the remote education scenario allows for skills development as well. For skills development, the Richmond Learning Platform has its own forum. The forum, which I'm showing you right now, allows both teachers and students to start discussion threads or conversation threads, which is something rare in the educational world. Most of the forums in education are very much controlled by the teacher. And it's the teacher and only the teacher who can open a discussion thread or a conversation thread. In our case, we felt that we should also give students the opportunity to start discussions and conversations. They have lots of things to say, and they want to say those things. So in our Richmond Forum, both teachers and students can create and open and start discussion threads. And the other very nice thing about our forum is that it is not only a space to promote writing practice in a more open, real life-like way, but it also allows you and your students to bring external content to the discussion, either in the form of a link. Students go to external websites to keep the discussion going. The forum also allows you and students to add images to the forum, which is very useful, especially with beginner students, where most writing and speaking activities are based on descriptions. So maybe uploading an image to the forum and having students describe it and say what the images make them feel, what do they make them wonder about, is a very nice way to keep the discussion flowing. You can also bring video to the forum and insert other kinds of content like charts, PowerPoint presentations, and so on. So this is a space that we've created to provide students with a space to do more creative writing practice. And of course, everyone in your class will have access to the forum. So again, whatever students produce in the forum becomes a source of information for you to conduct ongoing assessment. Another very interesting feature that we have for skills development in the Richmond Learning Platform, let me see if I can find an activity to show you this, is a recording feature for speaking skills development. This recording feature, here you go, you can see it now, allows students to record themselves and then either listen to themselves or download their recording to share it with you and their classmates. So this recording feature allows for more open and free speaking skills development. Of course, you can always ask your students to record themselves, maybe using their phones, and uploading their recordings to their platform, to the platform, and share it with you and your students. Maybe bring it to the forum in the form of a link, or sharing it with you and their classmates through the class library, which is the feature that I'm showing you now. Remember that at the beginning I told you that it is important for teachers to have a space in the platform where they can be creative and share their own materials with students. Well, that's the class library for us. It is a storage space that allows teachers and students to upload external content or self-created content to share either with the teacher only or with everyone, the whole class, because we don't want to limit what you can do in the Richmond Learning Platform. At Richmond, we provide you with a lot of ready-made content, the workbook content, the students' book content, the extra practice activities content, but we don't want to limit you and your creativity and your students. So we've provided this space, the class library, which allows you to very easily upload whatever file format Name it a PDF, a Word document, a PowerPoint presentation, whatever it is that you want to share with students to personalize or enrich their learning experience. So that's what the class library is about. And again, the end of the cycle is always assessment or evaluation. And in the Richmond Learning Platform, we do have our very own test manager, which is a tool that allows teachers to create and administer online tests. We've provided you with a set of test items aligned to the content of your course, of course, that you can choose from to create your exams. And once they are created, students can take them online. Remember that everything students do in the Richmond Learning Platform is fully trackable, which means that it is scored and that information is stored for you, the teacher, to see. And that happens in the Markbook. The Markbook will allow you to see your students' progress. It will allow you to see what they do independently on their own and as self-study. It will allow you to see their test scores as well if you create exams with the Richmond Test Manager. And it will allow you to see their scores if you create mandatory assignments for them to work on. Because I think I forgot to mention that with our tool, the teacher can intervene as much or as little as he or she wants. If the teacher decides not to intervene, it doesn't really matter because students still have access to all the content and they can do everything that is available for them under the self-study mode. And as a teacher, you will still have access to monitoring their progress. For teachers that are a bit more comfortable with technology, or maybe if you need to personalize a student's learning process, you can always intervene and choose from all the content that students have available, either from the extra practice activities or the e-students book content or the e-workbook content. As a teacher, you can always select specific activities to assign as mandatory work and assign it either to your whole class or to individual students to personalize their learning experience. This is just to show you how easily it's done. You can either assign that specific content to all your class, or you can assign it to individual students. If you create assignments, mandatory work, so to speak, you will see those scores reflected in the assignment scores section. And if you create assignments, you will have an additional plus. Let me see if I can show you one. You will be able to actually see, let me see, your students' individual answers. You will be able to see exactly the exact answer students provided. That is if you decide to intervene. But remember, if you don't want to intervene, students will still have access to all the content and can do everything in the self-study mode. Now, something that you will be seeing here in the future is that through the communications feature, we will be able to automatically connect you with platforms such as Teams and Zoom. Because remember that in the remote education scenario, if you don't have one platform that integrates everything, you will need to use two platforms. A platform for your synchronic encounters with your students, like the one we are in now, Zoom, that allows you to work and interact and talk with your students in real time. And outside of Zoom, you will need a second platform, a content platform, like the Richmond Learning Platform, where students will work and where you will be able to keep track of your students' progress. In order to help with that interaction between platforms, we have the option of connecting with Teams, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Google Meets directly from the Richmond Learning Platform. So this blue button that you see right now that is called My Chat, in a couple of days will change to become the button that will automatically enable either Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet, so that you and your students have the two resources within one single platform. The window for synchronic encounters available from the content platform. And this is something that we believe is very innovative. We haven't seen it anywhere else, giving teachers and students the possibility of launching everything from the same place. Now, there are many other features to the Richmond Learning Platform, but I don't want to overwhelm you, and well, there's always the possibility of you contacting our local Richmond representative to learn more about the platform, the content that we have available in the platform. Because if you think about it, what I've showed you is content for young adults, but we do have content for primary and secondary learners as well. In that case, especially in the primary case, the platform looks a lot more childish. It's a lot more colorful. It has, you know, bolitas, estrellitas, all those things for the little kids. But the principles of the platform are exactly the same for children and for young adults. What I wanted to do was show you that there is indeed a solution out there that is perfectly fit to the, let me come back to the presentation and just show you this again. This is what I wanted to do, show you that everything that I mentioned here, what we need to work in each of the stages of the remote education scenario, there is indeed a solution out there perfectly fit to teach in each of these stages, and it is the Richmond Learning Platform. We've got content, resources, and tools easily identifiable for each of the stages, plus the assessment and evaluation tools. Because again, as I said a while ago, I think there are challenges within the challenge. Remote education presented to us as a challenge that we were not even, we didn't even have time to prepare for it. We just took sort of a leap of faith and dove into the universe of technology. But very quickly we learned what worked for teachers and students and what didn't. And this is how the Richmond Learning Platform has evolved based on teacher experiences. And after 6 months, I don't know if I told you, but I am Mexican, but I live in Colombia. I don't know about you guys in Paraguay, but here in Colombia, we've been confined for 6 months already. Just last week, the government ended mandatory confinement. And to tell you the truth, we're all too scared to go out quite yet. But anyways, we're not under confinement anymore, but we were for 6 months. And those 6 months were enough for us to better understand the remote education scenario, the stages, the processes, and the kinds of content, tools, and resources teachers and students need so that the process is effective and successful. And that is exactly what I wanted to do. Clarify a little bit the stages of the process and show you that there is something out there with content, components, tools, and resources available to perfectly match the whole cycle. As the title of my presentation says, Remote education is all about changing the scene and adapting ELT practices. It's not about reinventing the wheel. As I said at the beginning, teaching English online is not that different from teaching English face-to-face. It's more about changing the scene, becoming comfortable with the scene or the scenario, and adapting our ELT practices to match that new scene, that new scenario. And we want to know that at Richmond, we want you to know that at Richmond, we are here to help you do it. So thank you. Thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed the session. And I do want to leave some time to see if you have any questions or any comments. I'd really like to hear from you in the next 10 minutes, know if there are any questions, comments that I might need to address. Thank you.